So you want to know the best hip flexor stretches for flexibility? Well, in today's video, we're going to take you out on the gym floor and we're going to give you a whole tutorial, a full hip flexor tutorial with nice, easy stretches for the beginners right through to more advanced stretches for the advanced beasts like Rad. All that and more coming up right after this. We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image.
Welcome everyone. In case we haven't met, my name's Rad Burmeister. This is my brother Yanni Burmeister, and we are the co-founders of Unity Gym and the co-creators of the UMS, formerly known as the FMS, where we teach you how to nourish and move instead of diet and exercise. And we've had some awesome engagement on our videos last week, and there's a lot of people that want to know what to do for those goddamn hip flexors. They get very, very tight, especially when you sit down all day long. And we even had one of our fans, Quok, has said he wants to see Yanni do that awesome hip flexor stretch. Yanni is a beast at it, the diagonal stretch. So if you haven't seen that, strap yourself in because you're going to see it. And at the end of this episode, we are also going to answer a great question from Wado about FAI hip, and also from Robert Trapp, who sent us a big email. So hang around until the end. And we're also going to give you a really, really big insight at the end of this show as to what the best program is for you as an individual and why you're not getting the results that you want right now. All that and more coming up.
All right, well, let's get out on the gym floor. So just before we do, Richie's having a rostered day off, or a rostered morning off this morning, so Rad and I are producing the show. Yeah, so you can see just quickly, if we switch to, I'm on your cam, just give them a look at what we're looking at
so
here.
Look at this. So this is where Richard normally sits. So normally Richard sits here, and this is what you are seeing of us behind the scenes. This is our big studio. All our lights and everything are up here, and then this is Yanni's little office over here. But anyway, here we go. So I've got to, I'm going to try and drink my coffee in one hand and hold the camera in the other hand.
All right.
So what we're doing today, I've got the mic. Yanni is, the hip flexors are something that's near and dear to me because I have ridiculously tight hip flexors, and I shouldn't say ridiculously tight, because compared to the average Joe, they're probably not ridiculously tight anymore. But for me, they're the tightest part of my body. I've got something called FAI hip, which is femoral acetabular impingement. So anyway, this routine, we've put together 5 different things that you can do for mobility, progressive loaded mobility, flexibility, and also end range strength. So the first one Yanni's doing here, sorry, I've got to remember, I don't normally use this gimbal thing, so if it looks a little bit funny, I do apologize. So what Yanni's doing here is, this is a full hip flexor complex stretch. So the first one that he's doing, he's leaning forward as far as he can go. He's resting his arm on that front leg, and you can see what he's trying to do is increase the angle in that hip flexor there. This is an unreal stretch. And then the second component that we're going to do to this is, he's going to come back. Now what he's going to do, watch what he does with his hip. Just do that again, Yanni. So that's relaxed. Lift your jumper up so we can see what's going on in your hip. That's relaxed. He's going to take it off. Good stuff. Okay. And now what he's going to do is do what's called a posterior pelvic tilt. So he's going to tuck his pelvis under his body like that. Look at that. And then the way you increase the stretch, just come forward first, Yanni, come away from there. The way you increase this stretch, once you've got that posterior pelvic tilt, he's going to push his bum back towards the heel. That increases the stretch. Now what you're looking for is over time how much closer your bum gets to the heel, and if you want to make this harder, the back knee goes closer to the bench. If you want to make it easier, the back knee goes further away from the bench. Okay, so make it a bit easier, Yanni. I'll tell him in a sec. So make it. So look at this. His knee goes further away. That makes it easier. Opposite, bringing the knee further back would make it harder. So each of these positions, you'll hold for, so when you go back like that's way more intense, and that gets into the rectus femoris more, because, which is part of the quadricep, which is the only part of the quadricep that crosses the hip joint, which makes it part of the hip flexors. So, and then when he goes forward, so he'll do that for about 20 seconds, and then when he goes forward, he'll do the stretch for about, you can do it for even 1 or 2 minutes. Honestly, like this one here, this is very relaxed. And this one we're going to hold for, up to 1 or 2 minutes. Oh, guys, I'm really sorry about this dodgy camera work. If you knew, this is like using a remote control thing for this gimbal, and I'm normally in front of the camera, not behind it. So he's just leaning forward. You can even just lean forward with your torso, Yanni, you can do that as well, just to totally relax. And then we're going to push back. So let's say he's done that for 1 minute or 2 minutes or whatever, then he goes like this, and then he really pushes back with that front leg to get his bum back towards the heels. So the stretch becomes far more intense when you go back like that. And for this one, he's going to do about 20 seconds. When you do this first set here, you actually don't need to go from left side to right side. What you'll do is he'll just go forward again now, and he'll go into this. So after he's done his 20 seconds, he'll go back into this one, and then he'll hold this for about 1 minute. And you do that 3 times, going back and forth, 3 times. Okay, if you're really, really tight and you've got the time, you could do it 5 times if you want it, but you'll just do it once on each side. So you do everything on the right leg, then everything on the left leg, okay? So
one critical thing that I didn't do before I did this.
Yanni's saying there's one critical thing that he didn't do before he did this.
I didn't warm up.
He didn't warm up. So we didn't do a minute of cardio. We normally always do 1 minute of high intensity cardio training, like horizontal running or burpees or squat jumps or something like that, to really get the heart rate up. But anyway, that's okay. So Yanni, let's move on to the next one. What are we doing next?
What I might just do very quickly, guys, is because I'm dead cold,
Yep.
is just do some...
Yanni's dead cold, so he's just going to do a little bit of test the water here. So if you don't know test the water, we've got a full tutorial on this. You can, this is a really good way of warming the legs up. So what Yanni's doing, this is actually a sequence that's been borrowed from Kung Fu. I'm not going to go down the gym any further than this because I'm afraid that we might run out of range on our equipment here. I need to stay near the Wi-Fi router so that everything's in range. And yeah, there's a full tutorial on this that you can watch if you go back. It's called Epic Kung Fu Sequence or something like that. There's a picture of me with my shirt off on the thumbnail doing one of these positions, so you can learn how to do this yourself. But this is such a good way to warm up the lower body. It's just amazing. It gets the heart rate up, gets the blood pumping, and it takes you through some dynamic mobility as well, and then a few squats there. Okay, so now we're on to, hang on, what's the second one, Yanni?
Focus point.
Okay, extension. So this is called hip flexor extension lifts with focus point. So what Yanni's going to do here, so Yanni's using this this bar here, kind of got a mental block for his focus point. Do the other side though, Yanni. So the focus point should be, yeah, that's it, okay. So what he's doing now, have a look. He's going to step that front foot as far forward as he can go. He creates that, so do an anterior pelvic tilt. So that's wrong, what he's doing. Now watch what he does with his pelvis. Posterior pelvic tilt. He's going to sit up nice and straight, and he can feel a stretch in his hip flexors now. And his hand is holding on to that point there so that he can feel if his body moves at all. Now what he's going to do is drive that back foot back. That's 1 rep, and that's enough, Yanni. And then again, 2, and with each rep, he just comes back to the resting position and he drives his foot back. That's the extension lift. He's going to do 6 reps, okay? And then on the 7th rep, he's going to hold it for a max hold. Now, just to make this video not go for too long, we won't do more than 15 seconds, so keep going. We'll do another 10 seconds. But you do a max hold here. When I do this, I do about 20 to 25 seconds. Not exactly sure what Yanni does himself. Everybody's different. And then we change sides. So now he's going to do 6 reps, so 6 extension lifts with the focus point, and then 1 max hold at the end. So take note of how little his body's moving when he does this. It's very, very important. That's the whole idea of that focus point. That focus point there is so that he can feel that his body is fixed in space, okay? And it's only this leg that's moving, okay? And then on that last rep, he's doing the max hold. So he's driving that heel back, really opening up those hip flexors there, getting stuck into it. And for this one, you're going to do 3 sets. 3 sets of 6 reps, plus a max hold at the end. And that's going to, you'll go from left to right, left to right, left to right, okay? Now we're on to the active hero stretch, and Yanni's getting serious now. He's taking his clothes off.
Just explain explain to them why I started in a jump.
Oh, so okay, so Yanni's asking me, I'm just going to get my coffee. Yanni's telling me to explain why he started in all that stuff and why he's taking it off now. Because we're in winter in Australia and we want to be as warm as we possibly can. I am so rugged up when I train in winter because I want to be sweating when I'm training. I do not want my body cold. I don't want my skin cold. I want my whole body to be warm. So, oh no, Yanni, with the rings. Yes. Sorry, Yanni's doing an advanced version. I want to do the beginner version. Okay, so you only really need one ring for this, and they're going to be too high for you, bro. You're going to need to lower them down. Just lower one down so it's at the height you need it at. So you want to get that ring down to roughly about your knee height, roughly, okay? Yep, that's good. Now watch, Yanni's going to go on his toes. He's going to have enough space between, and put your toes on the ground like this, Yanni. Yep. He's going to have enough space between his legs that his body could fit between it. And he goes down. Well, Yanni's so flexible that he can easily lay down like that. Now, what you're going to do, wait, Yanni. Let's get on the cues here. Go back further from the ring. We're going to teach this as though you were a beginner and weren't as flexible as you are. Now, posterior pelvic tilt. Watch his hips. Look at that. Bang. Ribs down. So the rib cage pulls down towards the ribs. Then he goes down as far as he can. Let's say that's enough. And then we go back up. And the ring is there just to help. So at all times, take note, he's got a posterior pelvic tilt and his rib cage is pulling down. Do the wrong thing now when you do this, Yanni. So let you break at the hips. See that? Totally wrong. Totally wrong. Now keep your hips in a posterior pelvic tilt, but go into extension in your spine. So lean your head back and extend the spine. That's wrong as well. Wrong. That's totally wrong. Look at that. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Come back up. Now do the right thing. Posterior pelvic tilt and rib cage down. And now we're really getting into the hip flexors. And this is much more for the rectus femoris, this one, which is part of the quadricep, but it is part of the hip flexor complex. Okay, now we're into your request here, Kwok. Yanni's going to do the diagonal stretch. This is by far the most advanced one out of this routine. It requires the most practice and the most patience. So what Yanni's going to do, sorry, I'm just putting my coffee down. Terrible camera work today. So what Yanni's going to do, he's going to put his feet at a 45-degree angle, okay? On the line that his feet are on, he's going to step back, big step. The back foot is facing forward. Have a look at this. His back foot is facing straight forward. Now, bend the front knee. Let's just show the beginner versions first, Yanni. So bend the front knee, okay? He's going to put, if his right leg's back, his right hand's going to go on his chest. Just do a few reps and reach behind the knee first, okay? So he's just going to, he's already going to the advanced version. So just reach to the knee with the bent knee on the front. Yeah, there you go. That's the basic version, okay? If the front leg is bent, it makes it easier. The intermediate version, we go to the middle of the calf still with a bent front knee, like that. And then the more advanced version, we go for the ankle, okay? And then the full version, the front leg straightens. So Yanni will change sides now. So now the front leg straightens. So his left leg's going back, which means the left hand goes on his chest. And then he's going to reach back. So the front leg is straight and he's reaching for that foot there. Now the full version, see, look at that. Yanni's going uber advanced and going for the ground there. And if you want to go super advanced, you even reach the hand out above the head like that, Kwok. So that's what you're looking for. So you can see. And we're going to do 10 reps of this one with a 10-second hold at the end. Let's try a 10-second hold, Yanni. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ah, he's gone too far. He went for the advanced version. Just go for the ankle, man. That going for the ground like that, Yanni said to me before today, he went, oh shit, I've got to do the diagonal stretch. He hasn't done this one for ages. Because for Yanni, he's so advanced with this, there's not a lot of, I'll talk about this in a sec, but have a look. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. See, we're big on working our weaknesses, and that is not a weakness for Yanni, that's a strength. So Yanni hasn't practiced this for about 6 months. It's not something he works on at the moment. Okay, and the last thing we're going to do, this is called the 3-point extension lifts. So Yanni's going to lay down, he's going to go on all fours. He's going to create a posterior pelvic tilt, so look at that, a hollow body. Now straighten one leg out behind you, Yanni. Point the toes, touch the feet to the ground, and 5 ballistic reps. 2, 3, 4, 5. Now a 5-second hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now same leg on a 45-degree angle. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now hold it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. And now straight out to the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then hold it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. All right, let's come back into the studio so we can bring this in for a landing. So there's your routine. There's your hip flexor routine. So that's for not only mobility and flexibility, but also for end range strength. And you can see Yanni's a little bit out of breath. When we do our mobility properly, you're definitely going to feel it. Do you want to switch back to the main camera so I can put this down? Okay, there we go. So you can see this is what I'm working with out here. It's a really cool little device, but you have to control it with your thumb, and I'm not used to it at all. So anyway, there you go.
Hey, look, one thing I want to dive in and say is we got a good stream. We haven't lost internet.
Yeah, look at that. We may have fixed our internet issues. We went through a lot of troubleshooting last week, and I'm hoping that we have actually fixed our internet issues. So what we've just done there, so the kneeling quad and hip flexor stretch, the first thing that I want to say with that is that you want to do, as I said, 3 reps where 1 rep is where you go forward and hold it for a minute, then the next rep is where you come back and hold it for 20 seconds. You do that 3 times on one side. It can take you like 5 minutes just on the one side. Then you do the other side. That's it. You just do it once on each side, but you do 3 reps on each side. The extension lifts with the focus point, we're going to do 6 reps with a maximum hold at the end, and you'll do that 3 times on each side, going from left to right. The active hero stretch between 6 and 8 reps, nice and slow, 3 sets, just going up and down like that, using the rings as little as possible. Then the diagonal stretch, this one we're going to do 3 sets of 10 reps with a 10-second hold. That one's a motherfucker to learn. When we all learnt it, it was very tough for us. A lot of people really can't balance when they do that at first. It's going to take a lot of practice. And then that 3-point extension lifts, exactly what we did. 5 reps with a 5-second hold in each 3 positions, 3 times on each side.
I think that what should be really reinforced at this point is with that diagonal stretch. Like, I dove straight into doing quite an advanced version because it's autonomous for me, because I've achieved that level and that's how I usually do it. It's really important to break it down and do the progressions with the front leg bent first, the front knee bent first, and so on and so forth. Because if you dive in and try and do it really advanced, you know, your body's, the reason why it's called a diagonal stretch is because the body is rotating and you're not stable. And the idea is that it's meant to remove stability so that you're activating the deep stabilizers in the pelvis and the core whilst getting a mobility drill done. And that gives you really good results, but it's also a little bit more dangerous because if you fall over or twist your knee or rotate on that front knee or back knee, you can, you could cause yourself some harm. So make sure that you progress up to doing the more advanced versions.
Absolutely.
Don't dive straight into that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like anything, guys. When you watch people like Yanni and I do this stuff, we make it look easy, which is actually, we're going to tie this into Robert Trapp's email here. Do you want to tie this into this?
Yep.
Okay. So Robert,
just very quickly, because this is going to go down a bit of a rabbit hole. What about talking about FAI first?
Okay. So what I was going to say there is, when you watch people like Yanni and I do it, it looks easy, but we've practiced it. But you know what? That's how you get better. You get better from, failing at something is one of the most valuable things you can do. I really love this analogy. When you start something and you don't know exactly how it's meant to be done, you have this field of where you know that somewhere within here is what you need to be doing, and you try it and you fail and the field narrows a little bit. But you still don't know exactly what you should be doing. You try it, you fail, you go, oh, that wasn't how I was meant to do it. And every single time you fail, that field narrows and narrows and narrows until you come to this point where you know exactly what you shouldn't be doing, and it leaves you with a very small, narrow field of what you should be doing. And that doesn't come from asking questions. It doesn't come from reading books. It doesn't come from watching YouTube videos. Yep. Okay.
FAI.
Okay. All right, so
very quickly, Stephen, thank you very much for the shout out. Yes, we are doing more hip flexibility, and we're going to stay on this as long as you guys want us to. And Karina, I agree. He
Yanni looks good with his new haircut, doesn't he? Yeah. Thanks, Karina. Okay, so Wade O has asked, I have a question. How do you achieve amazing flexibility for someone that has FAI, femoral acetabular impingement? So that's an impingement that happens from where the femur plugs into the acetabula, so the greater trochanter of the femur into the acetabula.
Talk straight here.
Right.
You're the one that knows all about this.
Oh, fuck, hectic.
Yeah,
so I've got FAI hip, so I know exactly what you're going through. So let's look at the question. How do you achieve great? This is my biggest challenge in regaining flexibility because FAI creates immobility and pain. I would love to sign up for the program, but this is what is holding me back. Brother, I am going to call you out on this one. I've got massive problems in my hip. I've had them for a long time. I've also got something called spondylolisthesis. And you know why I'm flexible? The reason why I'm flexible is because I said, fuck letting anything that I've got going on in my body stop me from achieving my goals. And I doubled down on it and worked my butt off. And I still... Yanni blitzes me in hip flexor flexibility with about 1/10 of the work that I do. I put in about 10 times more work into my hip flexors than he does, and he's about 10 times better at it than I am. You think that stops me? No way. Because I want to get whatever range of motion that I can get. And having an attitude where you think, oh, I'm too stiff, I've got a problem here that's preventing me from getting, what I want, so I'm not going to do it. That's not going to get you there, dude. You just need to double down and work on it. The two biggest things that you struggle with FAI hip are hip extensions, so hip flexors, and also hip internal rotation. They're the two biggest problems. And you know what? In all honesty, hip internal rotation, even in the best of people, it can only be improved so much. Hip internal rotation, you either got it or you don't. And you can only really improve hip internal rotation by a very small amount. Does that mean that you still shouldn't do it? No, not at all, because if you can even just prevent yourself from losing what you've already got, then that's a good thing. But for me, I've just accepted that I'm never really going to have great hip internal rotation, and I don't really work that much on it. I just do a little bit on it so that I don't lose what I've got. So that's...
Explain just very quickly how you found out about your FAI, because that's a pretty nasty story, and it's worth sharing.
Yeah. Look, I'll tell you how I found out about FAI hip. I got a meniscus tear. So I was training, and then I started experiencing pain on the medial the medial side of my knee, which is the inside of my knee here, on this leg here, on my right leg. And, the pain is a part of training, and, you deal with it and you back off and you give it a go. But, a couple of months later, the pain is still there. So I went to my good friend Tom Cartwright, and a chiropractor just down the road, and got a referral for a MRI. And honest to God, I was expecting to be told that I had bruising or maybe some minor damage to some of the tendons or something, and it came back that I had done a real number on my knee. I had what's called a flap tear, and non-displaced. There's about 9 different types of tears you can have on the meniscus, and mine is called a flap tear. But luckily for me, it's a non-displaced flap tear, which means the meniscus are two like crescent-shaped pieces of cartilage that sit there. And if this is one of them and it sits like that in my knee, okay, so let's imagine that's how it sits. If it comes up here, a flap tear is where a part of it's come off, and it would be a tear like that, like a flap. For me, it hasn't sat like that, which means I don't need to get a cut off, so it's still sitting there, which is good. Yep. So I went to a physio, and he looked at me and went, how the fuck did you do a meniscus tear? And we had to backtrack, because it wasn't an acute injury. I didn't do anything and go, fuck, like that. It was a chronic injury that happened over time, and the only thing that we can put it down to is that I was trying to force internal rotation, and my hips just weren't going there. And so I tried harder, and they weren't going there. And then I tried harder, and he went, that's what did it. Yeah. And then he looked at my hip, and he did an assessment on me in about 10 seconds, because he's an amazing physio, and he just went, oh, you've got FAI hip, Rad. And I went, what the fuck's that? And he said, oh, this and this that's what it is, and you're not going to be able to do good hip internal rotation, and hip extension is going to be hard for you. And I'm like, wow, that's exactly what I've got and exactly what I've been struggling with. So yeah, man, if you've got FAI hip, just accept that there's certain things that you're not going to get better at, and get on with the journey, man, because that's what it's all about. We've all got shit going on in our bodies, and Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Now, this brings us down to Robert Trapp's email and question. And, Robert's requested something that's very common. He's at a fairly beginner level, and he wants to get us to demonstrate more baseline stuff for people who are just entering in. He needs, he's searching for the perfect program for him. And we get this a lot. And first and foremost, I'll say this with absolute without any doubt whatsoever, and you can go and check our Google reviews and you can connect with people in our tribe. Our UMS program is without a doubt the best program for you because of its progressive nature. The first 3 phases of our UMS are what we call our foundations program, and they are designed for people exactly like you to prepare, balance, and build a great foundation for years to come. And we have people ranging from 14 years old to 74 years old doing that program. So, and we've had elite level athletes who are broken from rugby league and different sports, Ironmen, come in and do that program and completely transform themselves from the program and rave about it. So irrespective of whether you're an absolute beginner or an elite level athlete, everyone, as Rad said, has issues and compromised areas of the body that they need to overcome. And we've spent 20 years designing that program. And then after phase 3, you transition into phase 4, which is a real traditional strength training protocol where we introduce barbells and bilateral movements, and it's not about balance and flexibility anymore. It's now about building raw strength and building on your foundation. Phase 4 is like, if phase 1 to 3 is the foundations, laying the concrete slab that everything's going to sit on, phase 4 is erecting the pillars, the framework, and it is boom, it's game time. Then phase 5 right through is progressions, and it's just about constant continued progression. Now it's our life's work that's gone into that program, and I know that I'm big noting us, but we are very passionate, and so is our tribe, about it being the best program available online. Now, the thing is, I'm going to contradict myself here. There's no perfect program for anyone. It's just about turning up and doing the work. And I always say this to people, and I know this sounds a bit harsh, and some people might think it's a bit harsh, but every minute that you spend searching for more information and for the best program for your starting point, there's someone with less physical capability as you out there getting results right now, just getting the work done.
Yep.
And this is the issue. Like one of our mentors once said, information is toxic. It becomes toxic. It becomes an addiction to be searching for the right piece of information that's going to revolutionize you and change your body for the better. From that day onward, you've found the answer that suits you. It's not out there. Everything you need is inside you already. And it starts with mindset and the way that you approach your issues and the areas of your body that are compromised. You have the power within you right now to get everything you ever wanted. But you have to turn up every day and do the work. And this is the big problem that people have. They're on this constant search. And now with our smartphones and our smart devices, I was going to grab phones, but they're all being used as cameras. We've got this, it's like furnishing this thirst for information that we feel fulfilled so long as we're digesting it. But often we're not using it to do anything.
We've got a problem that we've never had, that humankind has never faced before, and it is a smartphone and the internet. It's this ability that at any minute of any day you can just go to your phone and just scroll through shit that just does nothing for you, but it feeds your mind, and it's all been created to give you a dopamine hit and to make you feel good. So it is an addictive thing, and it's your job as a human being. It's your due diligence to learn how to control that and to learn how to know when is the time to consume information and when is the time to act on it. And you know what? We're going to keep giving free content forever. That is something we are never going to stop doing. We're not building this show up so that one day we can just turn it off and say, if you want this now, you've got to pay for it. We are so passionate about this, and we know that one of the best ways that we can get our message out, and it's no secret, of course we want you to join our program. Of course we do. We've all got jobs, we've all got businesses, we have to pay our bills, and of course we want you to join our program. But we're going to keep giving away free content. But if you think what we give away for free is good, you have no idea what you'll get if you pay for it. If you join our program for $49 a month, and you can cancel anytime, man, it'll change your life. I guarantee you. And if you don't believe me, read over 100 5-star Google reviews and see what other people say about it. But yeah. Very,
very quickly, we've got a bunch of questions that have come in, and I would like to answer a few of them. Look, I know it sounds harsh, but the answers are within you. They're not really within us. Now, we're going to always be there for guidance and things like that. And I love the fact that people really appreciate what we do. But I just want to throw the power back into your hands. You just have to do the work. And sometimes that means doing exercises that feel like they're a little bit above and beyond you. That's how we all start, And the good thing is, when you find an exercise, when you discover a movement that's beyond you, that's got the most potential for upside. So embrace it. Embrace being a beginner. The Japanese call it shoshin, the beginner mind, and it's about approaching every circumstance or situation as a beginner with an open mind and looking for the potential in growth, not ever approaching things like a master, feeling like your glass is full already and there's nowhere to go with it. So embrace shoshin. And, just turn up and do the work, because the movements that you find really hard right now will become easy. And I don't believe in putting people in a room where it's just so easy that they can I've suffered such severe injuries before where I've had to be in full-on clinical rehab, spinal fractures, knee dislocated, shoulders dislocated, things where I severed the anterior portion of my shin. I'll quickly show you this because it's pretty nasty. Can you see? Can you get in on that scar?
Yeah. So Jan is trying to show you that scar.
So that actually was a complete sever of the whole tendon. All of this tendon through here was sliced in half, and the nerves and everything. So effectively, I lost control of that foot.
Still for a second.
The foot no longer worked. And that was a mountain bike accident. I hit the chain cog of a mountain bike and literally peeled it all off. And I couldn't walk. I literally couldn't walk. I had to go back to, in a clinic, learning how to walk again. Once I had several operations and had plastic surgery there, and they repaired the tendons and the nerves to a degree. And I had to go back and learn how to walk again. And there's a time and a place for absolute basic. But for most people, it's not about finding the perfect entry point. It's just about turning up and doing the work. And that's something that I just wish everyone would get. Now, quickly, we'll move on. Karina McCormack, there's 3 pathways to our program. There is a basic level, which is kind of like a beginner level, which is an hour-long workout daily. Then there is a masterclass, which is an additional 30 minutes of specific skills training for calisthenics. We start people off with the straight line handstand and then move into muscle ups, levers, planche progressions, things like that. There's also a mobility masterclass that people can do if they're really needing the mobility side of things. And then there's the elite program, which is...
You didn't say that the second path would take about an hour and a half a day?
That's right, 90 minutes. I said it's an extra half hour on the...
And then the last one is you train like Yanni and me, and you train for between 2 and 3 hours a day. So it just depends on what you want to do. You can completely customize the program to your own needs. I would say much less than an hour a day is, I think you really do need to dedicate at least an hour a day in anything physical if you want to see a great result. Yep. And then any time that you can do on top of that is going to add on to the results that you get. So it just depends on what you're willing to put in and everything like that.
But it's designed in a way that if you commit to that hour a day, which is the entry level program, which we teach in the class here in the gym, You get amazing results.
You'll
We've
get
seen
strong,
phenomenal
flexible.
results.
You'll get strong, flexible, fit, and you'll create balance in your body and overcome injuries. That's what you'll get from an hour a day. So, bedman. So you're saying, what's the best way to train for an extended side kick? Exercises, sets, reps, and times per week. That's something that would have to do an entire show on for you. I can put the question out and see how many other people are interested in that, because we have had a bit of interest for a few other topics that we'll have to do first. But if we can hopefully maybe answer that at the end of the week for you. But you know what? I'm going to throw this out there. Again, you're trying to compartmentalize one specific skill. And if you try to train like that, what I can guarantee you is that you'll get good at a side kick, but you'll be bad at everything else. And you'll work your butt off for a couple of years to get a good side kick, but then you'll realize that you don't have good hip flexion and you can't do a good toe kick or a good push kick. I did martial arts for 15 years, so did Yanni, so I know all about kicking. And then you'll realize that when maybe one day when you decide to stop martial arts and you try and do something else, you'll realize that all you could do is martial arts and your body doesn't work well in other things. So we can do a show on that for you. I'm happy to do it. But in all honesty, you want to approach your flexibility from a more holistic way of doing things, and the best way to get started with that is with our 18-minute stretching routine and the other programs that come with that.
And the one thing, the take home, that if there's one actionable thing that you could do is start working on compression strength.
Yeah.
Because I did kickboxing
we'll do a show on it.
many
We'll
years.
do a show. I'll do a show on this for you later this week,
Yeah.
and we'll see how high I can get my side kick, because I haven't tried one for about 10 years, so we'll see how it works.
Compression strength will be a revelation for you, especially if you're just doing flexibility training at the moment. If you start getting compression strength, so you can actually lift the leg up there, as opposed to, I don't know if you could see that, but as opposed to kicking it up, that'll completely change the game for you.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure we're talking about a side kick here.
I know, but any compression strength is going to help with that.
So, Karina, you're welcome. Do you need access to a gym? Yes, you do. You do need access to basic gym equipment, things like a bench, dumbbells. You'll need gymnastics rings, and there's a couple of things that you can find. You can go to any, I don't know where you live in the world, but in Australia we have these $10 a week, anytime fitness gyms, like 24-hour gyms, and you're welcome, Bedman. And if you go to one of those, but you get your own gymnastics rings, it'll cost about $30. You'll be able to do the whole thing.
Yeah, we have a lot of people that do it at home, but they do go and make commitment to get a small amount of equipment so that they can follow through with the program. As I said, it's not the most budget program that you can do anywhere. There's a dime a dozen of those. This is the best program that you'll ever find. And I put my hand on my heart and say that because we didn't think that at the start, but we've got people from all over the world jumping ship from what we thought were the best programs in the world, coming to UMS and saying this is immeasurably above anything they've ever seen before. And I'm talking, they've come from programs that I really used to benchmark us and go, wow, it'd be great to be up there one day, So there you go.
Yeah, for sure. And look, guys, if anybody wants, we can give you guys a 1 month free trial of the UMS program as well. So if you want, just leave a message and we can leave a little link for you guys to do a 1 month free trial. That's it. I'm not sure what we're going to be doing tomorrow. There's a couple of posts on our Instagram page over the weekend where I asked people if they wanted to see this or that. And I know two things that people want to see is people want to see a bunch of progressions for the golfer's elbow stuff.
Yep.
So I did a post about training for golfer's elbow and tennis elbow and how you can progress that and how you put it all together. So that's something we'll be doing at some stage this week. And then there was another one. I can't remember exactly what the question I asked was, but again, it was something to do with mobility. And so we'll get to those, and then we're going to do a side kick. Maybe I can get Yanni to hold the pad and I'll kick him into the wall or something like that at the end of it.
Maybe we'll just set the punching bags up. Karina, we are in Sydney, Australia. Yes, in North Sydney.
Yeah, we're in North Sydney. That's correct.
Exactly.
But
the month free trial you can do online anywhere in the world.
the online program.
Yeah, that's right.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in. That was
Yeah.
a great show. Even though I've got a blocked nose, even though we didn't have Richard here to help us, that was awesome. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Awesome. Hold on. Health is about performance, not just body image.
You better be willing to accept what you're going to have to do to get there.
We'll start focusing on movement goals, strength goals, flexibility goals.
When you nail that skill, That's there forever.
The body image goal doesn't get you that
It's
far.
the consistency and frequency that's going to get you there. It's not the intensity.
There's no shortcuts to mastery and movement. Destination doesn't change overnight, but your direction will.
The gym is not the place to beat up the body that you hate. It's the place to build the body that you love.
We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image.